Welcome to Plan Her Podcast. My name is Jamie Marcus Bratcher. I appreciate you checking out my YouTube channel. Make sure that you subscribe to get the updates every Thursday when I release new videos. In this video, I'm going to be talking about getting started podcasting, and there's a lot of perspectives on how to do this, and there's a lot of different ways that you can get started. So I'm going to stick with the basics today and just give you a quick overview of what that will look like. My goal in these videos is to keep them around 5 minutes, so I don't want to get too crazy and get too in-depth. I do record a podcast episode each week that is more in-depth that I will link in the show notes if you want to listen to that. And you can also check out my book, Plan Her Podcast, which includes a mini course for just $15, and I'll link that below as well if you are serious about getting started podcasting and you're not sure where to begin. Okay, so the first and most important thing that comes to getting started podcasting is you're going to need a good topic. I discussed this in the Should I Even Start podcast episode. Now, if you have a topic that you want to discuss, you just, like I said in that video, have to make sure that you actually have a podcast topic and not just a rant that should maybe stick to an Instagram story. So the bottom line is you need to be able to make more than 20 episodes and know some experts or be able to tap into other people that maybe want to talk about this with you. So you want to make sure that there's just more to what it is that you want to discuss than something that you're passionate about. Maybe no one else is in it with you. So if there's a community that you can engage with, or there's other people that you're a part of, just make sure that it's something that you're not only passionate about, but something that there's a lot of content to be discussing. I would hate to see you start a podcast and run out of things to talk about, or just kind of get bored with the topic. I see it come up in a lot of different groups, and I've had clients come to me with the same challenge, that they started talking about one thing and now they want to make a shift and a change. Obviously, that's absolutely something that you can do, but in time, it can be frustrating to have invested so much time in doing one thing and then have to make a complete shift and transition that. So just think through your topic, how it is that you want to cover it, what it is that you want to discuss, and who you can tap into to have a conversation with this about. Okay, the second thing that you need to get started starting a podcast is you need a little bit of equipment. So you're going to need a microphone. You're going to need a laptop to process that audio on and record on. And if you're going to be interviewing people, my recommendation would be to use Zoom software. Zoom.us is a free software that you can record up to 45 minutes with a fair amount of guests on it. I use the paid version of that software, and that allows me to record for however long I want. I also do all my client meetings on a Zoom meeting, so it makes it just a lot easier to have everything in one centralized location. Yes, you do need a good internet connection if you're interviewing people on Zoom, as does the person that you're interviewing, but in a future video, I'll get into more in-depth best practices for doing interviews. You can absolutely record a podcast on an iPhone. I'm recording this video on an iPhone right now with just a mic that I bought off of the internet, but I can almost guarantee that you can hear the dog sitting on the couch out of frame that is snoring right now. So I apologize if you can hear that, which I'm going to guess you can. The other thing that you're going to need is a recording space. So today I'm recording this video and I'm up at my daughter's house. I don't really have a space here to record. Normally I record in our trailer. I have a space there that is set aside, that is quiet and able for me to go in depth. I needed to record this video today, so I had time to edit it before I needed to publish it. So I, for one, did not plan very far ahead, but for two, didn't really have a solid place to be able to record a podcast. This is my old house. Normally I live in a 32-foot RV with my family, and so this is our old house. So it's pretty echoey in here, and you can hear a lot of extra noises that you wouldn't normally want in your quiet podcasting space. I used to record in my bedroom, and that's certainly a place that you can record. That's my daughter's bedroom now, so I didn't really want to record in there. I'm sure you can understand. So find a quiet place in your house that you can record, and you'll be in good shape. A couple of other things that you're going to need is you're going to need to learn a little bit about audio editing. This is not a need, this is not a requirement, but I would strongly recommend it. I oftentimes have guests that, in spite of me doing the best prep work that I can for them to be ready for an interview, our sound is just different. It's either not the great quality, or one of us has a dog snoring in the background. So it's easier to trim out some of those sounds or even reduce them if you have an audio editing tool. One for free that I can recommend is Audacity. That one's been super helpful for me, but there are other paid ones that you can use as well. Before I wrap up this video, you're going to need an intro. So my favorite place to get music is Audio Jungle. I do like to pay for my music. YouTube does have some audio, like free audio catalogs that you can use to download music for free. And there are other places for you to be able to get free audio. Just be careful that you're under a Creative Commons license, that you're not using trademarked music and violating the terms of what someone else has created, because you wouldn't love that if you were creating it, and other people certainly don't love it if you are doing that. An intro is as simple as music at the beginning, a little introduction on what people should expect for each episode, someone that is listening that is referring you out to one of their friends, or whether it's someone that stumbled upon your podcast on one of the podcast platforms and is just curious what this podcast is about. It's a great way for people to get to know you briefly. I try to keep podcast intros under 20 seconds, no longer than 30 seconds ever. It's just a little snippet for people to introduce themselves to you. The last thing that you're going to need is you're going to need a little bit of logo and art. So your podcast art needs to be 3,000 by 3,000 pixels, no less than 1,400 by 1,400. And the reason that that is the standard in the podcast industry is that that's what iTunes expects. And while Spotify is up and coming on all podcast platforms, Apple is still the king and it's still the leader. So you want to make sure that any podcast art that you create is compliant with iTunes. So you can have your podcast art created on places like Fiverr. You can use free software like Canva as well. If you're not comfortable putting something together on your own, Canva may not be the right tool for you, which is why I recommend Fiverr. It's part of my packages when you purchase a podcast launch strategy session with me. When it comes to getting started, you're going to have to sit down, you're going to have to record episodes. Stay tuned to this YouTube channel or listen to my podcast. I'm just at the beginning of creating podcast content to help you get started. All of the recommendations that I've made in this video are low cost or free options for you to be able to get started podcasting. Check out my book if you are interested in getting serious and just need a lot more guidance to be able to get started. If you're new to content creation, or if you've been around a while and you're struggling to know what's next, or if you're struggling to know what's next. The biggest thing that I want you to remember is that while you may be starting out with some basic gear and some free services, in time, this is something that you can actually upgrade. So don't think that everything has to be perfect on day one. Your first episode does not have to be perfect. You can change it up as you go. You can improve it as you go, and you can make changes and learn as you go along. So don't be hesitant to get started because you don't have the perfect everything, the highest end everything. Just get started. So your voice is the most powerful tool that you have at your disposal. Make sure that it can be heard. All right. I'll see you guys next Thursday for a fresh video. Bye.